This was Mark, whom I met a few years ago. He was trying to communicate to me in a language that I did not understand. He was using his fingers, facial expression, and body language. I thought he was joking or playing with me. As a social worker, I felt helpless and useless. I know most of you would have not understand what he was trying to communicate. This means his problem will remain unsolved in our community. When you look at me, what comes into your mind? Disability, handicap, useless, dependency, or a wheelchair bound. All this form of stigma affects people with disabilities physically and psychologically. They lose their confidence and self-esteem, hence losing the dignity they deserve in our community. But why do I say they? Because I'm a worker and I love playing wheelchair basketball. Growing up in Gulu, northern Uganda, a region that was affected by 20 years war, life was not easy. I was among thousands of children displaced from their homes. We had to sleep under verandas, in safe houses, to escape being abducted or killed by the rebels. The only thing that brought joy in me was playing soccer. It made me forget my problems. It was my passion, it was my dream to be a soccer player. In 2003, my dream came true. I was selected to represent my district. As a child, I was very happy. The whole village knew about it. After 2 weeks of intensive training, I was dropped. Why? Because of my body size. I was this tiny boy. My physical appearance became my disability. My dream was shattered completely. That is when I felt what discrimination is all about. I remember my childhood friends, Sam and Saidi, who dropped out of school because of constant stigma and discrimination. My experience made me to interact more with them. I convinced my other friends to allow them participate in our daily activities, including sports. But Sam introduced me to a beautiful game of wheelchair basketball. As a worker, I felt really so hard to sit on this wheelchair, to wheel, balance at the same time. It was very hard for me. I could not cope up with the pace of Sam. I looked disabled, but it was so beautiful to play this game. This motivated me to learn more about disability sports. I was trained as an adaptive coach. Later on, I got to learn sign language. One of the problems that it is in our community is that we don't give opportunities to people with disabilities. And we tend to shy away. We tend to not give them opportunities to participate. So, I am going to start and work with children and youths with disabilities in our community. I am going to give opportunities to our children so that they can showcase their abilities and skills. One of the challenges that makes us not to work hard in our community is that we don't give opportunities to children and youths with disabilities. And the problem is societal stigma, discrimination, and superstitious beliefs. How are we going to address this? We will foster reverse inclusion. What do we mean by reverse inclusion? To understand reverse inclusion, we need to explain what inclusion is. We, people without disabilities, the so-called the normal people, the able-bodied people, we generously include people with disabilities in our activities. But with reverse inclusion, people with disabilities will involve us, the so-called the non-disabled people, in their activities, in that we can know our senses, identify our senses, and also our hidden abilities. For this, we want to empower our children and youths with disabilities to take up initiatives. And I started an organization called Ability Sports Africa. We use sports as a platform for social inclusion, advocacy, and raising awareness. And this is what we are going to do in our community. First of all, we shall empower our girls with disabilities, because in our community, girls are not given any form of opportunities to participate in sports. They are denied access to participate in sports. We want to create a girl-friendly environment where our girls can get adequate training, advocacy, and raising awareness on their participation in sports. Secondly, we will train trainers. Who are these trainers? These are teachers, sport coaches, and peer mentors. We shall give them the idea of physical literacy and adaptive sports. They will learn games like goalball, showdown, seat volleyball, wheelchair basketball, and Bosia games. Thirdly, we shall ensure that we conduct sport festivals. This sports festival gives opportunity to our children and youths with disabilities to look up to showcase their abilities and skills. This will help them to gain the confidence they need, to gain the self-esteem, to change the attitude of the community towards their participation in sports. I want to see a community where our physical appearance, our disability, our gender does not define our ability to participate in sports. Imagine 5 years from now, you move in a community near Gulu. You identify a scene that you have never seen before. People playing wheelchair basketball. You become more curious. You move closer and you identify basketball stars doing their level best. They are trying to shine, but they look disabled compared to our professional wheelchair users. At the end of the game, you see them embracing the beauty of wheelchair basketball and adaptive sports in our community. Do you want to know what Mark was trying to communicate? Do you want to know? Yes. Good evening. I try to communicate to people. No one understands me. Why? I want to support children and youths with disabilities in Uganda. The problem is big. Children cry because of anger. Problem is communication. People don't want to learn sign language. Why? Who understands me? Who understands me? People, we are the same. People, we are the same. Thank you.